Samuel Fudd, what's going on, man? See, your Brownies had a rough day yesterday. Defense is still playing well. It's just you don't have enough offense to compete right now. And just like I told you guys before, you're going to put Gabriel in there. Who's going to struggle after a quick start. And at some point, Sanders was going to get in there and have a quick start, and he was going to struggle. And so far, I'm 4 for 4 there. Two other legs to check for me, and that's Watson getting activated, and the second one is Watson getting the start. And I will have you guys call perfectly to the T. But I want to jump into college football before I get off track here. I'm asking the question: did Lane Kiffen make the right decision? The way the situation was being handled, it was pretty obvious that he was either going to go to LSU or he's going to go to Florida. But Florida is even more arrogant and stately than LSU of sorts, meaning that if you got two choices and it comes down to LSU and Florida, they're looking at the coach like you can't see that we're the better option. So if you feel like you can't see that Florida is better than LSU, then we're going to take our name out the hat. And that's exactly what they did. So they ended up signing John Summerall out of Tulane to be their next coach. And the thing about that is he's going to be able to coach in the postseason, whereas Kiffen, he will not be able to. So after a lot of soul searching of sorts and getting advice from his mentors of sorts, he decides that he's going to bolt. He's going to sign a $12 million, about $12 million a year over 7 years. And there's a buyout clause. I don't know what that's going to be, which brings up more debate because LSU, they didn't want to pay Brian Kelly his buyout. So my thing was, if I'm a coach looking at this situation, knowing that buyouts are the order of the day, why the hell would I consider LSU if they don't want to pay the previous coach's buyout? And at some point, I'm going to get down there. I may have a lot of success, but at some point, it's going to go bad. And when it does, they're not going to want to pay me my buyout either. So why would I even consider that? And all these things are going through his mind, and he's got success where he is. He hadn't had a whole lot of success anywhere else as a head coach. So why not stay where you are, where you got things built in the way that you want it to be? You don't have the same pressure as you would be somewhere else, and everything would be better. Now, all you got to do now is go to the administrator and say, look here, these people here are trying to get me, give me some more money, and that'll end all of that. I don't think he did that. I think once he got his name out there, he got excited about it, and he didn't put a cap on all this stuff, and it's hurting him. And the post interview that he had right before he got on the plane, he's talking about the AD's decision not to allow him to come to the meeting and coach in the playoffs, and he seemed surprised by that. Well, I look at it like this: if you're going to take a job somewhere else, why are you concerned about what you did in the past? I mean, that's over with once you sign with somebody else. So I kind of agree with the AD by not letting him coach. But the big question out of all this is this: why is Kiffen surprised at the reaction of the AD, number one? And two, how would the college football playoffs look at this particular situation? I think that we might be looking at another Florida State here. Florida State a couple of years ago went 13-0. They lost a quarterback, and then they lost the ACC championship game. And the committee, after looking at the way that team was playing, said, despite what you've done, you don't deserve a postseason trip. And what they ended up doing, they jumped them and put, I think it was Alabama they put in their place. Well, the same situation may happen to Ole Miss. You don't have the head coach there. The guy that's running the offense is going to be a big difference if that same team takes the field without Kiffen as the head coach calling the offense. So the committee may say, well, I don't think this team's going to do very much without him, so let's just leave him out. Is it right? No, it's not right, but that's what the committee does. And that would help the committee solve another problem that they have, which is really self-created. they got a problem between Notre Dame and Miami. Miami plays a full conference schedule. They lost 2 games, but they slaughtered Notre Dame head to head. The committee and the talk around is that Notre Dame is playing much better now, and they would probably beat Miami if they were to play again. They have 2 losses, and they don't play a complete conference schedule. So it looks like to me Miami has the bigger body of work. Plus, they beat them head to head. So there's no more discussion there because I don't care who you fight or where you go in the world and defeat. If me and you meet up in the ring and I knock your ass out, or I outbox you thoroughly for 12 rounds, there's no debate about who's the better fighter because we met, we got it on, I won. So how are you going to say just because you get on a run of 3 or 4 fights that all of a sudden you're the best? We've seen this a lot of times in boxing. Guy get knocked out or defeated, he goes on a run and he comes back. I want to fight this guy again, and he end up losing again. I don't have any names to back that up right now, but I'm telling you it's happened. I've also seen in cases where a guy will go on and years later he will come back and fight the guy that beat him soundly the first time, and he will win that fight. In that case, I'm talking about when Hopkins came back and beat Roy Jones, but hell, they were both past 40 at that point. But in their prime, Roy Jones outclassed Bernard Hopkins. Completely different. So I understand the logic of what Notre Dame could be, or what they could do, but they played Miami and they got beat pretty soundly. So if it comes down to those 2 teams over a particular spot, there's no question that Miami should get that spot because they beat Notre Dame straight up on the field. And that's the only measuring stick that you should go by. But all the pundits on TV, Herb Street and the gang and several others, well, Notre Dame is playing so much better now, they will probably beat Miami because Miami is fading. Well, I don't think so because they beat them head up. And because of that, if Notre Dame gets in, Miami should certainly be in. All right. You call the games good? Well, sir, I ain't called any games. I use your picks. I don't bet. Where did that trunk? I don't know what you're talking about. All right, this guy here is getting crazy. All right. I seen Selmo on earlier. I don't see him anymore. I'm not worried about that. So I asked the question, did Lane Kiffen make the right decision? I don't think he did because if you're building your own program and you have it in your image, you create the expectations that come. You're not under the same pressure as somebody like Alabama or LSU may have because they have these illusions of grandeur that may or may not be true. Ole Miss, they knew they didn't have that grandeur that they want. Everybody wants it, of course, but they know they don't have it. So why act like that we're something that we're not just because we play in the so-called Premier Conference? I told you guys before, every conference in America is set up the same. You got 2 or 3 teams at the top, you got 2 or 3 teams at the bottom, and the rest are right in the middle. Normally, Ole Miss has been in the middle. Lately, they've been approaching, trying to get into that top 2 or 3. They just can't seem to jump the hump, which also creates another problem for Kiffen. Even though Ole Miss has been rising as a program, they haven't beaten a whole lot of the top teams. I mean, he didn't beat Georgia. He beat LSU. He hadn't beat Tennessee. Every time they play one of the premier teams in the conference, they don't seem to win. And that's what LSU is going to want Kiffen to do when he gets there. So if he don't get off to a fast start, there'll be a lot of questions being asked. And as he was giving that final interview and waffling back and forth about the situation with trying to coach the Ole Miss team in the playoffs and how the AD won't let him do it, he seems surprised that AD is taking the position that he is. But you can tell in that interview that, man, I didn't really want to do this. These people coming at me, and my mentor say I should go for it, but in my heart, I don't think I'm ready for this. And he kind of almost came out and straight up said that. And he's in a bad situation. So the question is, how much money is enough? If you know you're going into a bad situation, are you going to take the highest money if it's being offered to you, if you know it's a bad situation? Or should you just get a raise from where you are? He was already making like $9 million. He could have said, "Ole Miss, look here, give me $11 million a year, and I'm set. There's no need for me to move. Let somebody else go to that pressure cooker." But he didn't do it, and he let people talk him into doing something he didn't want to do, and that's a shame. But oh well, he's into it now. Let's see what he's going to do. So most of you saying that Kiffen, he should not have taken his move to Ole Miss. LSU, and I agree. All right, what's up, JC? I got some Mr. Sentiment. How you say that? Mr. Sentiment Validator says that LSU has the better girl. I don't know about that sentiment. I've never been to Oxford, but I've been through the state a little bit. I think LSU got about the same kind of girls there. You're going to find pretty girls wherever you go. LSU may have the prettier girls. I don't know. That's open for debate. That was a lot of money to turn down. Sports world today is all about getting paid. Yeah, I understand that, but if he also has to worry about his mental health. I mean, if you go down there and lose one game, they may go crazy. Ole Miss, they won't have the same reaction. I'm telling you. And you're only making what, $1 million less when you take the taxes into account. You're only losing like $500,000. So why not take the lesser amount to deal with the less stress? Because if he goes down and lose to Alabama next year and turn around and not make it to the SEC championship game, and don't let him not make the playoffs, they're going to have a damn fit. Because he's saying, well, we're paying you $12 million. You got to produce. And by producing, we want you to be damn near perfect. Now, we all know he can't be perfect, JC, but that's what these people tend to think. They feel like it's their God-given birthright to be in the college football playoffs every year because we're LSU. Well, I've been watching LSU for over 40 years. And since Saban got there, they've been doing pretty well for the most part. But before that, which is far more than the time they've been on top lately, they were just the middle of the road damn team. So when you get up there and talk about what you think you ought to be, yeah, I think I ought to be a trillionaire, but I ain't no damn trillionaire. Just because I say it don't mean that's the way it's supposed to be, but that's the way these people think. And I think it's a mistake on his part. You take Auburn, for instance, and this is not the same situation. Hugh Freeze, one of the reasons they fired Hugh Freeze because on Sundays, he would go play a couple of rounds of golf to relax after a loss. These people watching him and filming him and everything else, and they had a problem with that. I mean, the man has to unwind some kind of way. You can't think football 24/7. I know they want you to think 38/7, but it's impossible. You got to unwind some kind of way. And I don't care how much money they're paying you, the job's still going to get done to a certain degree, no matter whether you win or whether you lose. By that, I mean, if you're an athlete or these college football players are getting NIL money or whatever, once the ink is dry on the deal, that still doesn't mean because you're making high money that you're not going to make mistakes. You're going to play the game and you're going to go through the same ups and downs as everybody else. The money is just the backdrop. So once you get the money, there's no reason to even talk about that anymore because that's over with. What needs to change is your performance on the field. And the good thing about the NIL from the college's standpoint, we're paying this guy $5-6 million to do this, but in the game he does that. Well, we're going to get rid of him, go get somebody else. So that's one advantage. You don't have to be stuck to a guy that can't play for 4 or 5 years. And that used to be the case. And he would never make the field, but he'd be on the roster. Maybe you can get him to develop, but most of the time they do not. And at least with NIL now, you can get rid of that guy. Let him go to some smaller school, let him make a few less bucks, but he's still going to get some kind of money because he's good enough to play on the level. He's just not very good at it. And the coaches are the same way. once they had made the deal to pay him, then it's here no there how the games go. And but the problem with the LSU and places like Auburn, these people are greatly unrealistic. Because they're greatly unrealistic, it's going to put more pressure on Kiffen. If he does not win the SEC or get to the championship or win the big game like Alabama and the other rivalries that they have, then those people are going to be on him, and they're going to be on him in a hurry. And you know, Kiffen has a streak of rabbit in him. I guess 6 years is a long time for him to be in one spot, but he only stayed at Tennessee 1 year before they turned on him. He went to the pros, that didn't work. He went to USC, they fired him on the tarmac after losing a road game. So he doesn't have a checkered history of being successful. So it's a risk for LSU to go out on the limb for this guy just because everybody says he's the new hot child of the week. Well, you got him now, and just like what happened with Kelly and the governor come on talking about what they shouldn't pay. Same damn thing's going to happen to Kiffen, and he can't even go back to Ole Miss because just like I gave you an example before, if you have a next door neighbor that moves in and she's trying to get the affection of your man, I'm talking to the ladies, and he doesn't come back and reaffirm his commitment to you right away, now you're looking at him funny because he's not committed to you. He's open to the opportunity of going to this neighbor next door. And that's what happened with Ole Miss. Ole Miss was the lady that got spurned. LSU was the new lady. Said, look here, why don't you come on and be with me? I got this money for you. I got this and I got that. Come on over here with us. It's better than what you have with somebody you already established with. And that's the situation with Lane Kiffin. He just didn't do it. All right. That was a lot of money. A conscious cookie monster. Lane is getting 25 a year for NFL. He's about by the greatest college teams of all time. Going to go out to the best SEC players and make LSU a juggernaut. Well, what's the difference between him and any other SEC team? I just gave you a perfect example about Florida. Florida think they're superior to LSU, and it's the same thing as LSU thinking they're superior to Ole Miss. If I know that this is the best you ever had as a coach, I'm going to snatch him out and I'm going to dangle his money in front of him because he knows in his heart that LSU is superior to Ole Miss. So it won't be much of a stretch to go and get him. All we got to do is say we want him. But Florida's looking at that the same way. We feel like we're superior to LSU. So if you considering them over us, then we don't want to fool with you no more. So they dropped their name before he made the decision. They went and got some wrong out of Tulane. So all these schools have deep pockets. If they really wanted to, they can double that NIL valuation. And all you're doing is paying more money to guys that's unproven. Now, if you can go out into the
Excuse me, teacher.
If you can go out and
the phone in the main office is changed. Welcome back.
If you can go out and spend all this money on these players, you can do that. But that still doesn't mean these guys are going to perform for you. The best way to do that is go get guys who've already been proven somewhere else. But like they say, SEC is supposed to be greater than everybody else. Just because you play well in the Mountain West don't mean you can play in the SEC. So there are a lot of questions that need to be answered when you start talking about this situation. Lane's got deep pockets, but Texas Tech got the deepest pockets right now. And A&M and Texas also has money. So Lane going to LSU don't mean nothing to them because they got the money to counter that. The question is, can he get what he needs to run his offense? And it all comes down to a quarterback. If you don't have a trigger man, it don't make a difference. We can find some guys to block. We can find some guys to run it up in there. But if you don't have that quarterback to get you in and out of the right plays and make the right passes, then you got a problem. I don't give a damn how much money the coach get or how much money he spent on NIL. He's got a problem if you don't have the right guy calling the plays for him. All right, it's funny because Brian Kelly made his $1 million pledge a few months before he got fired. Well, Kelly was never going to fit into LSU because he's a northerner. He's a modern-day carpetbagger, the way they look at him down there. So it didn't make no difference what he did. And Kelly is a great coach, by the way. It didn't make a difference what he did because he don't fit there. As soon as they lost the game, bam, they're going to hit him with it. It's the same thing in Alabama. As soon as Killing the boy loses a game, bam, because he don't really fit in. He's not from there. And because he's not from there, he's going to get double the scrutiny than somebody else who was more tied into the SEC. And like I said, it doesn't matter what you play. Just you still got to get the right guys out there. And right now, it ain't coming from places that you think. Okay, he would be under pressure to win at LSU, but he's the kind of coach that can win it all, just like Saban. Well, Kiffen hadn't won anything. He's had institutions. He was at USC. That's a winning program. He's at Tennessee. They won. And he didn't do much at either one of them. Now, Ole Miss, besides Florida Atlantic, he did pretty well down there to get noticed by Ole Miss again. But for the most part, Ole Miss is only really the successful spot he's had. So why would you leave that you're establishing to go somewhere else? It's the same thing as Kurt Signetti at Indiana. Nobody's ever won there. So you know people were going to come after him. But the difference between Kiffen and Signetti is he realized that I can't go anywhere else that's better than what I got right here, right now. And Indiana recognized that. They were going to pay the man, which they did, and that put a quiet to all that noise was out there. Solved that problem right away. Kiffen didn't do that because he got a rabbit in him. He want to move, and when he get to LSU, hell, he might boat out there a year there if they don't get rid of him. Like I say, let him lose to Alabama again next year, or not make it to the SEC championship game. You're going to see how they turn on him real quick. Because the first thing they're going to do, they're going to start talking about how much money he makes. All right. We can have Lane and Charlie Weiss as our offensive coordinator along with his assistant coaches. Okay, Constance, you must be an LSU fan. I don't have nothing against LSU. Kelly is a good culture fit. I just said that. We never respected him. I know you didn't because he's not from there. Lane, I don't know if you really call him a Southerner, but he's been in the SEC long enough. But my question is, if he goes 8-4 his first year, what's the response, Cookie Monster? You tell me what would take place if he goes 8-4 that first year. He loses to Florida, he loses to Alabama, he loses to Texas A&M, and by God, he loses to Ole Miss. What do they say about Lane Kiffen in a situation like that? I'm dying to hear what you got to say. And I got to wrap this up because I got to get to work. I appreciate your comments, Cookie Monster. Sound like we can go back and forth. I know a lot of LSU fans. A good friend of mine is from going in the 10 right before you start going to New Orleans. Slidell. All right. If he goes 8-4 Baton Rouge in the booster, which I do it for us, we judge the coach by the Alabama game. If he can beat Bama each year, they'll stick with it. Okay, that's fair. I kind of figured that's what you would say. I don't know. I just think that Kiffen, he seems to be affected by all the things that he hears around him. He hadn't heard a whole lot of noise in Ole Miss. He's had a situation where now he thinks he's can go. And I think the only reason he left there is because Pete Carroll and Nick Saban told him, hey, man, take a chance, see what happens. You never know what might happen. So in that case, he's going for it. You know, his dad, like Carroll told him that he probably would want him to go, and that's probably true. And that's the only reason why he left. But I hope he don't go 8-4. LSU is a good program, and they got good athletes there, and he should be able to go at least 9 wins. But he can't lose to Alabama, and definitely he can't lose to Ole Miss right now. So we'll see how that goes. But most of you say that Kiffen did make the right move, and that's debatable. I just think if you got a program established, you should stay where you are. And if it was just about the money, he could have got more money from Ole Miss because they got deep pockets there too. So it's all about what you decide to choose. But anyway, I appreciate you guys chiming in with me. I got to get up out of here, man. That horn went off a few minutes ago, so I got to go sign in and go to work. But all the new people on here, conscious cookie monster. I wonder if you're conscious about other stuff besides football too. I like to talk to varied people on different subjects, so we can go back and forth. Mr. Sentiment Validator, JC, and I saw Selmo Fudd on here also. If your first time, like and subscribe, hit that hype button, man. It's some kind of new thing they got going on called hype, so take that for me. But anyway, I got to get up out of here, man. You guys have a great day wherever you are in the world. This chick here gets on my nerves. But anyway, Cookie Monster, have a good day, man. I got to get up out of here. Like and subscribe, and I catch you guys. If there's no breaking news, I catch you on the flip side in the morning, about the same time, about 6:30. All right? So have a great day. All right, JC, I'm out. And no, I didn't forget about my Steelers, man. It got me upset with them. They don't want to play no damn football. At least we get the Ravens. They're just as bad as we are, and bad as defenses are. And normally Pittsburgh, Baltimore is a